Turn up the dial, feel the vibe, get ready to ignite. Untold stories in the airways, flying through the night. Experience voices, tales so bold. Streaming live, the truth unfolds. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, so I remember I share and subscribe. Join the side where truth can't hide. Aliens in the alley, UFOs in the sky. Cryptids lurking, oh my, oh my. Ghosts in the hallway, whispering your name. The paranormal, the unexplained. Become a VIP, get the inside scoop. Unlock the mysteries, be part of the group. Live streaming stories, they're talking to you. Super chats buzzing, join the crew. Untold Radio Network, the secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's a wild member. Share and subscribe, join the side where truth can hide. So if you've got the guts and you want to explore, tune into the Untold, it's what you're looking for. From aliens to ghosts and all that's unseen. Untold Radio Network, where the world's mysteries convene.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Monsters on the Edge here on the Untold Radio Network. I am your host, Barnaby Jones of Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society. We are live in studio today, as usual. Ladies and gentlemen, Lee Warner in the audience today. Looking forward to today's show and learning about the Fae. Awesome. If you guys have questions or comments throughout the show, throw them in the comments section because we're live. We will answer them and chat with you guys so we can get that stuff going as well. Coming up, guys, it is spooky season, and if you're looking for something spooky to do this October, we are doing Paranormal Investigations of Wisconsin's most haunted premium gentlemen's club with over 100 years of history. Originally built in 1877 by an Irish immigrant named Michael Gaynor. Gaynor's Tavern has been passed down for 4 generations before finally being sold outside of the family. The building has burned twice and has over 4 recorded deaths in the building. It is one of the most active investigations that we had. We just had a group in there this past weekend who had all kinds of stuff on the SLS, to hearing things and seeing things and shadows and all kinds of creepy things. So if you're looking for a good time, head on over to hauntedbeansnappers.com and get your tickets. Or if you want a private investigation with your team, email us at hauntedbeansnappers@gmail.com. Coming up, if you want even more spooky stuff, we are going to be at the Shawano County Library this Thursday, the 16th. We are going to be at the Brownsville Public Library on the 22nd, and we are going to be at the Nina Public Library on October 25th. All these are going to be exploring the paranormal presentations, followed by actual paranormal investigations of the libraries. All this information can be found at wisconsincaps.com on our public events tab, or you can go to our Facebook page and find it there as well. Then, guys, coming up this December, we are going to be at the Krampus event in the Brewery District of Milwaukee, Sunday, December 7th. Coming up next year, we are going to be at the Contact Modalities Expo May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in Delavan, Wisconsin, and we will be in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin for CapCon 2026. All the information on that will be coming up later, so we will get back to that. But ladies and gentlemen, we have an awesome guest here. It has become a tradition on today to speak with her, and we actually have a second guest in the back as well, but we will get to that in a second. We'll let her talk about that. But today's guest, I have to do my due diligence here. I get all flustered with flashy lights and things popping up in the background. My guest today is Allison Jornlin. She developed Milwaukee, Wisconsin's first haunted history tour in 2008. Since then, she has presented at paranormal conferences across the United States and contributed to paranormal essays and research to several popular books. Allison continues her work as a professional weirdo, researching and writing for the American Ghost Walk tours, and so much more we're going to get into here. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Allison Jornlin to the show. Hi, Allison.
Hi. Hey, great to see you again. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about today, including Milwaukee Paracon, which is coming up this Saturday. So we'd love to see you there. It is completely free for guests. And so all you got to do, go to the website, MilwaukeeParacon.com. We have a great lineup of speakers. I'm one of the speakers. I won't be talking about fairies like I will today. I'll be talking, well, that's not exactly true. I'll be talking about the spirits of Brady Street in Milwaukee. And there is a school which teaches about fairies right on Brady Street. So if you want to hear more about that, come to see me when I present at 4 o'clock. But yeah, check out the full lineup on MilwaukeeParacon.com. And if you're also a vendor, we have a few vendor spots available as well. And all the sign-up information is available again at MilwaukeeParacon.com, and put on by my company, AmericanGhostWalks.com.
Very cool. Very cool. It's always a cool event, and the Irish Cultural and Heritage Center is a very cool building. I've gotten a chance to present a couple times there.
Yes, at the Hallamore stage. Hallamore means Great Hall in Gaelic, and that Hallamore stage is actually in the historic Grand Avenue Congregational Church. So come to see that building. Unfortunately, the Irish Cultural and Heritage Center is going to have to sell the building. The upkeep of an old building is just too costly for them, so they can't maintain it anymore. So this will be your last chance to see inside. It is haunted. There's a lot of stories of a little girl haunting the 30-foot pipe organ. So that in itself, the 30-foot pipe organ, is a thing to see. But on that stage there, you'll see the speakers, but also on that stage in the past, Helen Keller spoke in 1914, and Martin Luther King Jr. spoke in 1957. So this is a very important landmark in Milwaukee history, and it is supposed to be haunted. So all these things, plus it's free. Yeah, you got to see the beautiful Hallamore, the 30-foot organ, the incredible woodwork, and the one-of-a-kind stained glass windows. So come and see the Irish Cultural and Heritage Center this Saturday, October 18th, and you'll also see a lot of great paranormal speakers and vendors as well.
Absolutely. And for those of you interested, the MilwaukeeParacon.com is in the show notes for easy access for anybody that needs more information on that. And you can also check it out on our Facebook page so you can see the links for all that and get all the information.
Yes, and like I said, it's completely free to guests, for the public. So it's free admission. Come on in. We do on the website ask that you sign up just so we know how many people to expect. But it's completely free. When it asks you to order tickets, you're not ordering tickets. You're just putting in a reservation so that we know that you're coming. Like I said, so that we can prepare for the crowd.
Very cool. Awesome. And what else? Who else do you have for speakers?
Oh my gosh. So, of course, there's me. I'm going to be talking about Brady Street. But, of course, we also have T. Krulos, who will be presenting about the witches of I was going to say Waterford, but of Whitewater. That's it. The witches of Whitewater, but they're not witches at all. He's going to be talking about the spiritualist history, and it's an incredible history, especially if you've ever had an argument with someone and they were like, hey, dude, psychics are not real because otherwise they'd win the lottery. Well, there's a story that goes with the history and hauntings of Whitewater that has to do with a psychic that she didn't win the lottery, but she did amass a fortune from tips given to her by her spirit guides. So do check that out. Scott Marcus is also going to be presenting on the mystery deaths in La Crosse. So check that out. That's at 3:00. So I'm at 4, talking about Saints and Sinners of Brady Street, and also Ghost and Fairies as well. Scott Marcus, again, is there a paranormal influence to the La Crosse drownings? T. Krulos, Morris Pratt, and Arthur Roberts, 2 wild and psychic Wisconsin guys. Hopefully he'll also talk about the woman that I'm mentioning. If not, I'll be there and I'll pipe in, I'm sure. And that's 2 p.m. 1 p.m. is Ian Steven. Ian Steven is new this year, and he's going to be talking about UFO Wisconsin, Alien Wisconsin, Ordinary Lives, Extraordinary Contact. And we'll also have the Ghost of Waukesha with Josh Hughes at 11 a.m. And we're starting it all off at 10 a.m. For the speakers with a Ghost Stories panel about hauntings of southeastern Wisconsin. And the doors actually open at 9, so you can check out the vendors and then check out the speakers.
Awesome. Very cool. Always a good time down there at Milwaukee Paracon.
Yeah, and again, it's MilwaukeeParacon.com for all this information.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, it has been a tradition here on my podcast to have you, I think it's been 3 or this might
be several
in a row now that you've been on, because you were part of a very influential group, your students, in what has become not just Columbus Day today, but Indigenous People Day.
Yes, so, Indigenous Peoples Day is celebrated officially in Wisconsin. This picture that you put up just now shows us in 2016 when we went to go see the Milwaukee County Board. We had written a resolution, and this resolution says why they should celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day, why it's so important. And the 4th graders worked really hard on the resolution, and we, of course, went to a few meetings, and this is one of the meetings where we are showing our support for Indigenous Peoples Day and asking them to vote on our resolution and adopt it. And so Milwaukee County now has a resolution that was written by 4th graders about Indigenous Peoples Day, and they just want to be celebrated too as Native people.
Pretty cool. Awesome. And
Yeah, we got that passed. We got that passed in 2016, and then in 2019, I believe, that's when Tony Evers, Wisconsin's governor, came to the school where I once taught, Indian Community School, and those fourth graders were now eighth graders. And as he signed the statewide proclamation saying that Wisconsin would now celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day every year, he had my former fourth graders surrounding him. So that was a big thrill for them to see lawmaking in action.
that is awesome. We have talked in great depth about that on some of the other shows. I was gonna say your other friend just dropped off, so I don't know what.
Oh no! Oh no! We gotta bring him back. What the heck? Oh no!
Allison has a history of inviting special guests on her episodes as well.
What?
And he was backstage, and now he's dropped off. So
No. Okay. So I'm telling him to come back. We'll go to you right away. I know he's at work, so maybe he
didn't have a picture up, so I wasn't sure if the link was good too. So
okay, so we'll see if he comes
lovely
back in.
Live television.
Okay, well, I do deal with spirits, so they're very. Oh, he's on. Okay, so it's Indigenous Peoples Day. We're going to talk about the fairies, and Native people have a lot of stories about little people. It's not just in Ireland; it's all over the world that people have stories about these others. And Brian Frijo, he's a Pawnee Seminole tribe member, and he has his own stories. So hopefully, we can hear from him for a little bit today.
There you go. Welcome to the show, man. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, happy
Okay.
IPD. It's great to hear you,
Yeah.
Brian.
Yeah, I'm driving right now. It's a pretty busy day. I just came from a 3-day powwow in kind of like northern central Cali, and where they went pretty late. Got back late last night, and then now I'm going to a couple of other events today. But yeah, I definitely wanted to jump on for a minute. Good to see you, Barnaby, and good to see you, Allison.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. So drive safe. But if you could give us a story or two, and not get in an accident, that would be great.
Yeah, no, traffic's pretty nice right now for once. I mean, I'm in Southern California, so it's a holiday today, so the traffic isn't too crazy. But yeah, just want to say aho, no iti, tatasa Brian Frijo, Skeety, Chawi Pawnee Nation of Oklahoma, Nikuzogi Seminole Nation of Oklahoma. That's the Wolf people of the Pawnee Nation, and then the Bear Clan of the Seminole people. And I come from a place called Tornado Alley. You guys seen it on the Weather Channel? That's where I grew up, right there in that Tornado Alley, and was able to learn a lot there about our culture and history from a lot of relatives and elders. And yeah, so I love storytelling. I know you were talking about the LP. Some people don't want to say it. They don't want to say little people, so they say the LPs. And then some people will say it in their language. They'll say ours is still a boogaji. That means those little the small people that are out there that they're still a part of our community. They're kind of like protectors of certain areas. They say they protect some of the sacred sites. They protect springs, like where there's natural water springs. They're the ones that kind of take care of that so that people don't abuse those places or, mess with the land around there. There's always a lot of stories about them being there. And if you're going to get water in those areas, they say, just go get your water and get out. They don't want you messing around there. You want to go get some water from that. Those stories are just passed down, over generations and generations that we pass it on orally. And so I always loved hearing those stories growing up. And we had a lot of activities, with the little people in Oklahoma and some of the other places that I visited, Minnesota, South Dakota, some of these other tribal communities. Even in the urban, they can say the little people can come around there if they want to. So is there any particular questions, anything you want me to share, Allison? I know there's so many stories, and we did a YouTube video before in the past.
Yeah,
And
and
I was
I'll send that link to Barnaby so he can share that as well. And if you do go to that YouTube video, you'll see that there's over 300 commenters, and a lot of them are sharing their own stories, and people are really commenting from all over the world. Even Poland is one of them that surprised me, one of the commenters. But it was just amazing. This is a really taboo topic in some sectors of the paranormal. But, when you scratch the surface, you really see that there's a lot to these stories. So Brian, anything you can tell us in terms of an actual story, either that you experienced or people that have experienced?
Yeah, well, like one of the stories that was passed down is that, when they come around, they're kind of mischievous and they're trying to get your attention, or they're trying to just kind of mess with people, and they like to do that. And some people, especially if they don't believe it, they're the ones that kind of they mess with too. So to kind of show them that there are things out there that we can't explain. They're mysterious. In the language we call it a chiksparukstidu. It means that it's like they're mysterious and we can't really figure it out, but they're spiritual. They're like of a spiritual nature, but they're the mysteries of life. But there was one, I had an uncle. It was my mom's uncle. He was an older man, elder. And I said when he was younger, they used to always come around their house, and they always said, don't go play with them. Don't be curious and try to go with them and follow them. And this one uncle that we had, they used to always come around when he was young, and then at night they couldn't find him. He wouldn't be in his bed. And so they would be looking for him, and they would go out there. Where they live, it's in an area called Wewoka. It means barking water, where they grew up. And my uncle had lived in that same house his whole life. So I was able to visit this house and this community. And this uncle, his name was Uncle Edward. And I guess they kept coming out to him, and they kept trying to tell him, don't go out there. Not supposed to go out there, with those little people at night. And so he kept going out there, and then they would find him out in the woods and bring him back. And they said it can mess with people. That's why we don't mess around with things that we're told about, that of that other side of that, and that are in that portal, the ones that can kind of come in and out of that portal. And so I guess he kept going out of the curiosity. After that, they said that they would always come to his house looking for him. And so they had to put medicine out there, so they wanted to leave him alone. And he became like, over the time, he became kind of like a recluse. And I guess he would go out and talk with those little people. And they said he had a lot of knowledge. He would share stories about like old traditional stories about where the medicines were, old teachings that they had, because those little people had a lot of that knowledge. But he would never leave his house. And he stayed in the back room of that house, and he would never leave the house. And they'd always take him, and he'd always stay in the car. He didn't really talk to people, and he only spoke in the language. But when I went out there to visit my uncle, that was his brother, I'd go out there to visit him, and it's way out in the country. And we'd be sitting there, and he really loved the Los Angeles Lakers, so we'd always go and watch basketball games. And I'd be sitting in his front room, small little country house. And he had a porch that went around the whole side of his house, and we'd be talking, watching the game, laughing, and I would hear running on that porch, and I'd ask him, I was like, "What is that?" It was loud. You could hear running, like it sounded like dogs were running, or like kids were running around outside on the porch. And I'd ask him, like, "What is that? Some dogs out there?" And he would say, "No," and we'd just keep talking. And I was like, "Man, what's out there? I want to go see what's out there." He goes, "No, don't go out there." He said, they know this house, they're coming here. They want people to go out and take them out there, take them out into their world. And I always wanted to go, and he would just be like, no, nephew, just stay in here. And I'll be back. And he would go outside, and he'd be out there for like about 10, 15 minutes. Then he'd come back in, and he'd say, "Oh, it's all right. Okay." We'd sit there and talk. But every time I was out there, I felt that that spiritual, that mysterious energy, and it always made me curious. And so later on in life, when I had my own experiences with the little people, they came to my dad's house too. But there's just so many stories, and a lot of people that don't believe it. They're the ones that I kind of feel like when they come around those areas in our native communities, that they'll have an experience. It's one of those things where it's not just storytelling, it's kind of part of our belief system, where there's a teaching in there that tells you, be careful what you go around, be careful where you go. The way they told us when we were young, don't go out in those woods, don't go out there and follow just anybody or anything. Those teachings that kind of are passed down, because of what happened to my uncle. He became pretty much a recluse the rest of his life because he didn't want to be around people. He kind of almost just wanted to be around those little people. And so, it was an interesting childhood growing up around that, and hearing these stories. But me and Allison shared some stories on the YouTube, and we could go on and on. I'd definitely like to come back and share some other stories too, where in Minnesota, they got some pictures of the little people there at a big native community event. It was
Wow,
like a
do you have
cookout,
these pictures?
and they got some. No,
Have
they
you
took
seen?
them. The person that took the pictures and video, later that night, they tried to share those pictures, and later that night, I guess they came to their house and they took all their pictures were deleted, and the video was gone, and then all this stuff was all scattered around in those people's house that had taken the video. So there's a lot
the
of cool
LP
stories,
came and reclaimed it? The
Yeah, they
LP?
pretty much came and they came and took it, and then all the images were kind of like when they look like they're overexposed and all that stuff. They were just, after that, later that day, they were all messed up.
So Brian actually is a speaker and motivational speaker and performer and musician, and you have visited many of the reservations across the country, right?
Yeah, well, where I just was, it's northern central Cali. It's Bigfoot country, and a lot of the tribes there, Bigfoot is part of their history and their storytelling. They have like images everywhere, and it's one of the sites, a place called Tule River. If you look it up, it's where they have the cave and the rock paintings on their reservation, and they don't let anybody there. You have to know tribal members and people, in that tribe, and their historians, to go there and just look at it. They don't let anybody on that reservation, like the paranormal shows and people that have tried to go there. They don't let them there either. But it's because it's part of their culture, and they're not supposed to kind of expose that. They just keep it within their people. But it's in their regalia and everything. Like, it's in their beadwork, and they have books, they have songs, they have Bigfoot songs, and it's like they take it very serious, and you don't laugh or make fun of it, because it's part of their culture. So that's where I just came from. Really beautiful country up there in Central Cali.
Well, and I know Barnaby would love to have you on again, because you have so many stories from all over the country. I know last time we spoke, you told me about your wild experience with skinwalkers. So I'm sure he'd want to hear that.
Yeah, that was that. They kind of put the rental car. I took a rental car, and they did damage on the rear bumper of the rental car. I have pictures of that too, Barnaby. I could share that, show you. They clawed up the rear bumper of that rental car, looked like Freddy Krueger.
Well, that is so fascinating. And Brian, you mentioned the medicines, and I think we should explain that just a little. I think paranormal investigators who might be watching this show are familiar with, of course, smudging with sage, but there's also many other medicines, including the top four would be sage, sweetgrass, tobacco, and cedar. But so was that what you were talking about when you mentioned putting out the medicine for the LPs?
Yeah, they just offer, if you could put out food, you kind of want to have respect for them if they start to come around, or there starts to be activity, at your home or work and things like that. So you make an offering of those medicines or even food. But yeah, like every tribe has different medicines that they use. Like tobacco is kind of like the oldest one, and that's always an offering, kind of like a peace offering. You kind of want peace with the animals, with nature, with the spirits, and that's the one that we use. But there's also another one this elder shared with me. If people are having a lot of activity, a lot of like ghosts and spirits in their house, it's called a ghost medicine. I don't know if I know there's some different words in the language, that they call that one, but it's from a plant in Oklahoma. This one elder, he gave me some of that. He told me, if people are really having problems and the smudging and the sage isn't working, then you kind of go to that next level of medicines to use and to help people in their houses. And I'm working in California at some treatment centers, and they have, like, I guess after they go through the detox, they go to a sober living home. And these are big homes, like there's either 6, 8 rooms, people are living there, and there's a lot of activity in there. When people are living in addiction and kind of messing with the dark sides of life. There's a lot of cleansing that needs to happen. So I've been going to some of the houses, and I smoke out or smudge the house and kind of try to clear out the negative energies, and like people are seeing spirits and ghosts in these places. And I think it goes along with that lifestyle. There's some or people, like people, just everybody, not just natives, but everybody. We know there's an addiction problem, and we have our medicines to use against that, for protection and to cleanse and to heal. And so those are some of the things that I was taught, growing up, and that's what I use because it works. They had a ghost or a spirit at this one sober living, and everyone was seeing it, but they didn't want to smoke the house off because the house manager, she never saw anything. That woman was like, I haven't seen anything. Finally, she saw it, and these are not native people. And when she finally saw it, she's like, okay, yeah, we need to do something. So I ended up going over there, and we put a prayer up, and we smudged the house off, and then things have been pretty good. But recently they said they might need it again. But yeah, just things like that, that are old traditional ways of life and beliefs, spiritual beliefs, and they're still here.
Yeah, I'm going to follow up with you on that ghost medicine so that we can provide some more information to people who might need that if the other four of the top medicines aren't working. But it'd be interesting to see like what that plant is. And I love botany, so I can certainly track it down
cool.
for people.
Yeah, and all those medicines got grow really well in Wisconsin. I love being over there and working there. All those medicines. Well, Milwaukee is the good land, or they say that's the good land. That's the translation. I'm sure there's more translations, but that's what Milwaukee means.
Yeah, well, send me some seeds, Brian. I'm getting better at my gardening, so I can
awesome.
start growing some of those. Twitch. I really appreciate this. I don't know if you had any questions, Barnaby, or there was anybody in the chat that had any questions. Will we still have Brian? No, we can't monopolize him for too much longer. What was that?
I said I have a ton, but I appreciate you coming on, and I would love to have you on for an episode of your own as well eventually, and we'll have to stay in touch. And I don't want to keep you when you're driving and stuff either. So
yeah, I got to jump off, but you guys have a good day, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon.
Yes, happy Indigenous Peoples Day.
Yes, thank you so much. Aho, duda hey.
Aho.
Miigwech.
Thank you, man. Take care. Awesome. Well, cool.
That was really fun. So Indigenous Peoples Day is every day. It's great that you have me on because we can remind people of how important learning about Indigenous cultures is. Because I think if you're watching and you heard just a little bit of what Brian said, I mean, it opens up a whole world for you of different ideas and different ways of dealing with the spiritual and the supernatural and the paranormal. So they have a toolbox that we could all be using. So it's always great to get together with other cultures and mix it around, because that's going to make a difference for individuals and also the field itself.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Just that the couple minutes that we got to chat with him there, because we were talking before the show and stuff. Over Iceland and these other places have such a rich history of fairy and folklore and things like that we hear about, and it's so ingrained into their culture. And it's not often that even he said it's not often that you get to hear from the indigenous people about these things. We always hear about Bigfoot in in the United States pretty much, and I've heard like a lot of the Dogman stories from the Canadian indigenous people, which we don't have a lot in the in the lower of the United States here. And but I honestly haven't heard much of anything about the little people or the fairy or anything from indigenous people. So
yeah, so there's a vast database of knowledge that we could have access to. But I think what happens with every culture, with every subgroup, so we're not just talking about cultures, we're talking about just political groups, community groups. They can be quite insular, and I think it's time we break those walls down across the board, so that we can start learning from each other instead of judging others from afar. You don't know what you're talking about unless you get out there and talk to people. And Brian would be a great guest to have on, because not only is he Pawnee and Seminole himself, but he's also been a motivational speaker and performer and powwow dancer at different events and different reservations throughout the country. So he's actually filmed some of his of the paranormal stories he's gotten from these tribe members. So there's a tremendous amount of knowledge out there that we haven't had access to, just because I think it's hard to approach communities such as the Native community, because they have been so disenfranchised, and you might not know where to start. I started by working at Indian Community School. Well, actually, that's not true, because when I went to UW Milwaukee, I sought out their Native Studies program. So, in effect, I had a minor in Native Studies, and that's why I got my position at Indian Community School as a fourth grade teacher, and I was there at the school for 13 years. So it's a great community, and I got to see the inside of it, and there's just so much there that would be of value across the board, but also to the paranormal community. And we also have to break down walls about different taboos, as it has to do with the little people. I know this might be something that I'm not supposed to talk about, but I'm going to talk about it because it was a few years ago anyway. But Grant Wilson, I was at an event where he was one of the speakers. I was one of the speakers as well, and Grant Wilson from the OG from Ghost Hunters, the Ghost Hunters TV show. He talked about a little person experience that he had as a child in the forest, and he acted like it was some big deal, and he was embarrassed about it, but he still wanted to talk about it, but he didn't want anybody to film or. But the thing is, why? These are others. We don't know exactly what they are, but, they might be another kind of spirit. We really don't know, but no subject should be off limits in the paranormal world, especially when you look at fairies, which, it sounds laughable, but they have numerous names, not just fairies. That's a name we know it by, and that's stigmatized. But let's just say the others. So these mysterious others are represented cross-culturally. And when you're looking for evidence of, is there any there, when you're talking about the paranormal, well, it's really compelling when you know about little person stories from around the world. I do have a couple of YouTube channels, youtube.com/paranormal women and youtube.com/Mothman. Now, if you go to the second one, youtube.com/Mothman, you'll see an interview that I did with Brian where he tells more little people stories. And the exciting thing about that video is, okay, I've got a lot of videos out there, not a lot of people watching, just being honest. But that video with Brian is really popular. And like I said, I haven't checked it lately, but it's been up for a few years, but it has over 300 comments, and the bulk of the comments are people from around the world sharing their little people stories. So we have people from different countries. We also have people from various tribes in North America, all coming together to share their stories. So it's amazingly cross-cultural. And don't take my word for it. Go to YouTube, look at the video, and then read some of those comments. And I think you'll be fascinated.
Very interesting. So there was some thoughts that when the non-indigenous people, when the white folks came to America from Europe and stuff, that we brought these little people over from Iceland and that. Do you think that, hearing about the indigenous stories and stuff, they were here before that, right?
Okay, that is a really good question. Because like with Bigfoot, there's a lot of different names for little people amongst the various tribes. Now, I have not asked people from all those various cultures about their words for the little people, and where they can trace them to. But I do know that Bigfoot, for example, in Ojibwe, which is a culture that's very populous in Wisconsin, but then also up into Canada, and of course Minnesota. So a lot of Ojibwe people of various bands. And so at the school, at Indian Community School, one of the teachers of Native language, so we taught 3 different languages that people could go to, that the students and the teachers took classes in these various Native languages every single day of the school year. Now, one of the teachers was an Ojibwe teacher, and so I in our off time, I'm like, hey, what about Bigfoot? What are the names for Bigfoot? And then I asked them, are these constructions? Like, there are certain things like toaster, for example. Of course, the Ojibwe back in the day did not have a name for toaster, but then they put like different words together to mean toaster today. So that's what I was asking about Bigfoot. And he said, no, this is an ancient belief, and these are ancient words. So do I know for certain? I mean, I do think that, some of the little people could have come along, but if there were little people in all these various countries all over the world, there were probably indigenous populations of those native people, or of those native little people. So, I think there's probably both to answer your question. Both bringing them and having little people that are indigenous to the Americas. So, I don't have anything that says that definitively, but, we're talking fairies. There is nothing definitive.
Now, there's a lot of crossover between your fairy lore and your ufology. with the whole abductions and the changelings and things like that, where the taking of children, and even in the Bigfoot lore and stuff with the whistling in the woods and the women screaming and stuff. You have a lot of crossover between these different stories. Do you think that these are all separate phenomenon, or do you think that each of these things is its own thing? Are the fairy creatures, what we consider the extraterrestrials?
Yeah, so as you said, there's a lot of crossover, and I would welcome people to look up a book that I participated in. Josh Cutchin wrote the Trojan Feast, for example, so he's a great scholar of fairy lore. And a few years ago, he recruited me and some other paranormal writers to write a book called Fairy Films, and I provided the PDF of my entry to you, Barnaby. So if we can link to it, we will do so, so that you can read it and see that there are connections that come out. And my entry to the book Fairy Films was, it refers to popular movies where fairy beliefs were represented, but then it also goes into the actual folklore and real events, which tend to show that there's probably something real to this phenomenon. So do I think it's connected? Yeah, I think everything's probably connected. Are aliens and fairies the same thing? Well, I know there are UFO researchers that seem to think there's a connection there because of the similarities in the folklore. Of course, we can't say for sure, but I would welcome to people to look deeper and to see what these stories really are, and then compare them to other stories that they've heard in other areas of the paranormal.
You mentioned Joshua Cutchins. I just want to give a shout out to him. He's going to be on the Paranormal Spectrum here coming up. I think, what did I tell you, November 13th? It's middle of November. He's going to be on my show there, so you can hear more about that. But awesome guy. I've gotten a chance to talk to him, and I have his complete collection of books if I'd only have the time to sit down and actually read them.
Yes. Well, he goes deep. And yes. Certainly there are connections, and his specialty is connecting fairy lore to abduction phenomena, for example. So he certainly does a lot of work in that regard.
So there's so many. I find this really interesting. You mentioned Grant Wilson as well about having had this thing, and for somebody that goes out in the paranormal field and does ghost hunting and puts yourself out there as this, oh, ghosts are real. I've seen them. There's demons. There's all this stuff. Why is there such that stigmatism around the little people? I know.
Yeah.
Christopher Fleming from Chicago, the medium, also talks about having seen a gnome in his house. So you got these people that have actually had these encounters. Do you know of any other, what's the most modern story that you've heard? The most recent sighting?
Well, I've certainly heard from John Tenney, and John Tenney is just a wealth of knowledge in the paranormal, and he saw an elf, and he believes the elf actually came home with him, and I also can provide a YouTube link to his interview where you can watch more about all the details in his sighting and his encounters. And then I can also send you this picture that he drew for me of what he saw. So how to see an elf in 3 days. He has, if you want to see an elf, he has different things. He has a whole list of things you need to do if you want to get yourself ready. So eat only
Is
I'm
that
sorry,
like
go ahead.
the spinning around in a circle, looking at the clouds, all
That's
that?
one of them. That's one of
Yeah,
them. So
yeah, I've heard this.
yeah, so number one is eat only fruits and vegetables, drink only water. Okay, so he's a vegan, John Tenney. I'm a vegan too, so it's maybe easier for us. But if you want to see an elf, he's saying that this is what you have to do. And then 3 times per day, whistle or hum a tune. And then 3 times per day, smile at your reflection in a mirror, of course. And then 3 times per day, gently touch a living plant. And then imagine you are looking at the night sky as you drift to sleep, so that you close your eyes, but you feel like you can still see the stars. And then lastly, as soon as possible, let's see. Okay, on walking, let the sun shine on your face for several minutes. Now, I do remember that there were some turns. I don't have that on this list. What do you remember about that?
There was something about having that sense of like childlike wonder. So you
Yes.
went out and you spun in a circle and you looked up at the sky, laid in
Yes.
the grass on your back, and I've heard John Tenney speak quite a few times, and if anybody hasn't, he's definitely worth seeing at any conventions and stuff. But yeah, there was some other stuff. Just basically get back to your innocence.
Yeah. So
That child mentality.
those are the big ones that I listed off, but I know there is something about spinning or turning in a certain way. So I'll have to refresh my notes on that. But yeah, start with the other 6, and then move on to spinning.
If those don't work, spin in a circle until you see it.
Yeah, spin in the circle until you see it or you drop.
Flat Rockster has a comment. He says, compare these gnome and elves to what people see on DMT. It's uncanny.
Oh yes, okay. There's a number of books written on DMT, dimethyltryptamine, which is produced in the brain, but also you can smoke it. And you can take it intravenously, which has, I think, the intravenous administration was used in medical experiments to see if there's any consistency with the visions that people have. If you know Terrence McKenna, he talked about the machine elves that were seen on DMT. There's this idea that there are elves that work together to create and adjust our reality, and so apparently you can access them on DMT. I'm straight edge, so I don't know personally, but it's very interesting. And Rick Strassman was the scientist. If you're Googling this, and I think the book that he wrote was called the DMT, the Spirit Molecule. So anyway, the idea is that psychedelics like DMT, and DMT is like the root of all psychedelics, or most psychedelics, is my understanding, and it's naturally produced in the brain. But also in ayahuasca and psilocybin, there's a DMT concentration, and that's the scientific reason that you have the visions that you have, I believe. Not an expert, just an enthusiast. But yeah, I think there might be something to the idea that they're always there, but you can only see them when your brain is trained on one of these substances, like DMT in particular, that it gives you access to what's going on in the fairy realm. Certainly, hey, other people have seen them without resorting to drugs. So, but this is one way that people access that knowledge.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories about like you said, the research of people taking it and seeing faces or images that are come back very extraterrestrial or elvish or fairy-ish, that they've described that. So really interesting there.
Yeah.
Let's see. The Indescribable Octoman says, talk about the magic out loud in the woods. It gets their attention.
Yes. So yeah, you might want to consider that carefully before you do that. Now, it's not to say that the Fae, these others, are evil. It's just that they're not always pro-human, and they're others. They're other consciousnesses. So you have to be careful around them. You know, they can be benevolent, but they can also be malevolent. So, as Brian said, you know, you have to be careful. You can't just go out there and think it's going to be like little Tinkerbells and little fairies with wings. When you really look into the actual folklore, there's a number of descriptions, and some of them ain't that cute. Some of them are really frightful. So just be careful out there. And as I mentioned, you know, I will link, or I will give Barnaby some links to send to my interview with Brian Frijo about a native little people, and also I have interviews with others like the headmaster of the Elf School in Reykjavik, Iceland. So if you're interested in this topic, you know, we're coming to an end here, but there's just a ton more, and I'll try to provide what I can. And you can always reach me at Allison at AmericanGhostWalks.com. Allison is spelled just like all is on, ALLISON, at AmericanGhostWalks, hear the S.com. And yeah, send me something weird. And I'd love to meet you in person at MilwaukeeParacon.com if you're in Wisconsin. Come see us October 18th. That's this Saturday. We'll be there from 9 to 5 at the Irish Cultural and Heritage Center on Wisconsin Avenue. So do check it out and come see that beautiful historic building before it's no more.
Are they going to tear it down for real, or is it?
I hope not. I hope they just sell it to someone who has more funds to be able to restore it. I mean, that would be really terrible. But just in case, you know, get in there and see it. See the stage where Martin Luther King spoke in 1957 and Helen Keller spoke in 1914. And look for the little ghost in the 30-foot pipe organ. It's going to be a magical day.
It is an amazing building. Like I said, I've gotten to speak the last couple of years at the event, and the stage and the whole atrium out there with the organ and the balconies and stuff.
It has a presence, and it's free. So why not come? Yes, you do have to sign up just so we can prepare for the onslaught of people, but it is absolutely free. So please come join us and get more information at MilwaukeeParacon.com, and there are a couple of vendor slots still available.
Well, Allison, it has been awesome here. We got some stuff in the show notes here for you as well. American Ghost Walks is in the show notes. Milwaukee Paracon, Paranormal Women, and the link for your interview with John Tenney are all in the show notes right now as I speak. So if anybody's interested in more information on that, you can go and click there and get all of that. Allison, do you have any other events coming up? Are you speaking at anything else?
Oh, yeah.
Well, worms. All right.
Yeah, lots of library presentations. I have one at the Germantown Library, one at the Edgerton Library. And I'll be at the Halloween Hauntings event at Milwaukee Public Museum. That's for members. That's near the end of the month. That's a Friday and a Saturday, I believe. This year, instead of doing a mini tour because the mezzanine is closed on the third floor, I will be in the Little Nickelodeon Theater presenting on Milwaukee Hauntings at the museum and beyond. On the streets of Old Milwaukee. So come visit me on the streets of Old Milwaukee at the end of the month at Milwaukee Public Museum.
That's awesome. That's such a cool space. And then, of course, you have the American Ghost Walk tours that are all over the United States. And
yes.
So many things with that.
Yep, go to AmericanGhostWalks.com. We're in 8 states and Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. And we started right here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin in 2008.
Last question.
And, yeah, I'm sorry. We have my hydroponic garden is watering in the background. Sorry about that if you hear some weird
Hear it? No, we're good.
water. That's what it is.
Last question here from Lee Warner. She would like to know the best advice for honoring the Fae or the little people. Other guest mentioned medicines, which she does have.
Okay, great. Well, you can, a lot of times, like at the school, for example, we had a special spirit pole where we put out food offerings and offerings of medicines and such when we had feasts and sweat lodges. We would have a feast afterward, and we always make a plate. So you can, if you have a tree in your yard, use that and just put out, just a little bit of food in the old English traditions. They would give cream and milk, but anything that you like, you can share a little bit with them. And the medicines, you can put out sage, sweetgrass, cedar, and tobacco if you like. And if you're having trouble in your home, you should burn those medicines.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Awesome. Well, it's been awesome having you on. I really appreciate it. Love chatting with you every year here, and we'll definitely have you back again next year. And hopefully, best of luck to all of you and your event coming up this weekend.
Yes, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Barnaby. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day.
You too. All right. You have a great day. Good luck this weekend. Take care. All right, guys, that is it for this week's episode. If you get a chance, head on over to the Milwaukee Paracon in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. All the event information is at MilwaukeeParacon.com. That link is in the show notes for you guys. It is free. Go out and enjoy. But until then, guys, hopefully you can come out and check out all the spooky activities that CAPS has going on this year and go see Allison at some of her library presentations as well. So until next time, guys, thanks for tuning in. Remember to like, subscribe, and share all things here on the Untold Radio Network. If you're looking for more spooky activities, go check out American Ghost Walks. And they have tours all over the United States, Puerto Rico, and beyond. So all kinds of places, no matter whether you're local or on vacation, you can go learn some spooky history. Until next time, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the edge.